Welcome back to The Opposing View, the show where we put sharp ideas into honest conflict and see what survives contact. Today's motion: the universe is conscious. Arguing for the motion is Dr. Iliya. Arguing against the motion is a new voice on the show, Dr. Shaw. Same rules as always: opening statements, a cross-examination, rebuttals, lightning challenges, and closers. No straw men, no dodging, and when you criticize, you steel man first. Let's get into it. Opening statements. For the motion, Dr. Iliya.
Thank you. I'm going to argue 3 claims. Consciousness is not plausibly an emergent afterthought of matter. It's a fundamental feature of reality. If consciousness is fundamental, cosmopsychism, the view that the universe as a whole is conscious, is the simplest coherent model. This view is test-constrained and explanatory. It organizes disparate puzzles in philosophy of mind and physics better than its rivals. First, the hard problem of consciousness isn't a complaint about difficulty. It's a category gap. You can give me perfect third-person accounts, neural correlates, firing patterns, information flows, and you still won't have explained why it feels like something to be that system. If subjective experience shows up only after particles arrange themselves just so, the explanation smuggles in the very thing in question. Instead of conjuring experience from non-experiential parts, we treat experience as primitive, as basic as mass or charge. Second, if experience is primitive, we need a cosmology. Panpsychism says all physical entities have some minimal experiential aspect, but it faces the combination problem. How do micro-experiences add up to a unified subject like you or me? Cosmopsychism turns the direction around. The whole is fundamental, the parts are aspect. There is one integrated subject, call it the universe's field of awareness, and local minds are subsystems, partial perspectives within that field. This mirrors how physics already treats many things. We start with universal laws and boundary conditions, then get local phenomena as restrictions. Third, this is not hand-waving. Multiple research programs already hinge on integration and intrinsic structure. Integrated Information Theory, IIT, says consciousness tracks the degree and quality of causal integration in a system. Whether or not you accept every detail of IIT, it provides a quantitative handle, measure integrated cause-effect power, call it phi, and predict that systems with higher irreducible integration are more conscious. The early universe and present-day cosmos are deeply integrated systems. Coupled fields, long-range constraints, symmetries, broken in coordinated ways. On cosmopsychism, that global integration isn't a coincidence. It's a signature of an underlying subject. Objection: isn't that untestable? We can't strap a cosmos to an EEG, but we can derive observable constraints. If consciousness supervenes on integrated causal structure, then as we push engineered systems across integration thresholds, qualitative cognitive signatures should flip in law-like ways, producing stable, reportable, cross-modal coherence that mere computational scale cannot mimic. Cosmopsychism predicts no clean emergence line, where mind suddenly sparks from mindless matter, rather a continuum whose structure correlates with integration and self-modeling capacity. In physics, it suggests we should expect globally consistent constraints that make local probabilities depend on whole system structure, fitting with how boundary conditions, topological phases, and entanglement already act. Finally, explanatory power. It dissolves the brute miracle of emergence. It gives a non-anthropic reason for why the universe supports subjects at all. It reframes weird data, placebo effects with strong top-down modulation, unity of conscious scenes despite distributed processing, even the uncanny stability of physical constants, as reflections of a top-down, globally integrated reality where subjectivity is not an accident. If you are willing to treat charge and spin as fundamental because doing so closes explanatory circles, you should grant the same courtesy to consciousness. The most parsimonious fundamentalist story is not trillions of tiny minds trying to combine. It's one universe, one subject, many perspectives. I urge you to vote yes.
Against the motion, Dr. Shaw.
Thank you. I'll also make 3 claims, each a direct challenge to what you just heard. The universe is conscious is not a theory. It's a rebranding of a mystery that adds an entity without adding testable consequences. The specific quantitative scaffolding invoked, like IIT, does not scale to the cosmos, and even locally it faces severe conceptual and empirical objections. Physicalism already explains what needs explaining, the functional, reportable aspects of experience, while the hard problem is a conceptual confusion created by mixing first-person and third-person standpoints. First, testability. If the universe is a conscious subject, what unique prediction follows that cannot be reproduced by ordinary physics plus cognitive science? More integration, more consciousness is a correlation, not an explanation. You cannot operationalize the consciousness of the entire universe. There is no measurement procedure, no falsification criterion. That's not science. It's metaphysical inflation. Second, IIT and its kin. IIT equates consciousness with integrated causal structure under a specific formal measure, phi. But different grainings of the same system can yield different phi. Which one is the subject? High-phi structures that are causally inert or feed forward can get scored oddly. Critics have produced counterexamples where IIT predicts consciousness in systems we'd consider nonsense. Extending phi to the entire universe collapses under the weight of decomposability and locality. Cosmic causal structure is mostly sparse and expanding. Global integration is not what the math says it is at human-relevant timescales. Third, the hard problem. The demand for a bridge from physics to what it feels like is like demanding a bridge from meteorology to what it feels like to be rained on. Science gives public models that predict behavior and reports. The what its likeness is captured through functional isomorphisms. When a system's internal models, access, and report capacities align, we predict and control the phenomena we care about. No cosmic subject required. We also face a cost, teleology creep. Once you say the universe is conscious, you invite purpose into physics. Fine if you're doing poetry, but as a research program, it overfits. Physicalism, by contrast, has earned trust. It predicted anesthesia mechanisms, mapped neural correlates, linked specific wave dynamics to reportability, and built machines that reproduce cognitive functions. Philosophy should not outrun the lab. Occam's razor is not a license to make reality simpler by positing one big mind instead of many small processes. Razor says, don't multiply causes beyond necessity. The cosmic mind is not necessary. Vote no.
Cross-examination. Round 1. Precision questions. Dr. Iliya, in one sentence, what would falsify cosmopsychism for you? Dr. Iliya.
If we discovered a principled, law-like emergence boundary, where systems below a precise threshold cannot host any phenomenal properties, despite perfect functional equivalence above it, and that boundary is derivable purely from non-experiential physics, cosmopsychism would lose its core rationale.
Dr. Shaw,
Notice the move. Making falsification hinge on what we'll never find, an absolute boundary. That's immunization, not science.
Dr. Shaw, same challenge. What would make you reconsider and lean yes?
A novel, quantifiable signature uniquely predicted by cosmic consciousness. Say, a lawful mapping from specific global physical invariants to behaviorally decisive shifts in conscious report across diverse architectures, beyond any physicalist account. No one has offered that.
That's precisely the integration prediction. Transitions in self-model coherence as systems cross, irreducible causal thresholds. We already see hints in recurrent versus feed-forward architectures.
Those are engineering facts about feedback and capacity, not evidence of a universe-level subject.
Rebuttals. Dr. Iliya reboots Dr. Shaw.
3 points. On testability, cosmopsychism predicts continuity of consciousness with causal integration. This is not vacuous. It rules out strong emergence, where consciousness pops out from purely non-experiential ingredients. In practice, it means if you create functionally isomorphic systems with different integration profiles, they won't be phenomenally identical. That is testable with convergent methodologies, report, behavior, metacognitive calibration, and perturbational complexity indices. On IIT, objections, every mature program survives counterexamples via refinement. The existence of edge cases doesn't defeat the core insight. Consciousness tracks intrinsic causal power. The fact that grain choice matters is not a bug. It reflects that subjects exist at levels. You are not your atoms. You're the integrated dynamics at a higher scale. Cosmopsychism just extends that hierarchy, a global level at which the cosmos has unified dynamics, from which local subjects are conditional slices. On overfitting and teleology, calling the universe conscious does not import purposes into physics. It's a claim about intrinsic character, not goals. We already accept that physics gives us structure without telling us the qualia of that structure. Cosmopsychism says the intrinsic side is experiential at base. It is no more teleological than saying the electromagnetic field has an intrinsic nature. Lastly, the so-called success of physicalism in the lab targets access consciousness. What can be reported or used by cognition? Great. Cosmopsychism keeps all that and explains why there is anything there to access in the first place.
Dr. Shaw rebuts Dr. Iliya.
And 3 returns. Continuity predictions are too weak. A functionalist can predict exactly the same continuity. As integration and recurrence rise, you gain global workspace, better self-models, richer reports. You don't need universal subjectivity. The identical prediction with fewer metaphysical commitments wins by parsimony. Levels and grains. Saying the subject lives at the level where integration peaks chooses a level after the fact. For the cosmos, the relevant level is mostly near-local. Causal influence decays, horizons exist, and universal integration is not a single, richly cycling network. You cannot simply transpose the brain's mesoscale dynamics onto the universe. Intrinsic character as experience. This is an explanatory label swap. You rename the unknown intrinsic nature experience and declare victory. But the real work, predicting and controlling conscious phenomena, is done by functional organization. That's why anesthesia, coma recovery, and disorders of consciousness correlate with very specific oscillatory and connectivity changes. The cosmic subject adds nothing, predicts nothing, and risks misleading people into thinking physics is secretly psychological. It isn't.
Lightning challenges. Short answers. Maximum 40 seconds. 1. Quantum entanglement. Evidence for a global subject. Dr. Iliya.
Entanglement shows non-separable structure in nature. Cosmopsychism offers a natural home for non-separability. The whole is fundamental. Parts are conditional. It's not proof, but it is thematically aligned.
Dr. Shaw.
Entanglement is about correlations under unitary dynamics, fully modeled without subjects. Decoherence plus quantum theory solves it operationally. No leap to cosmic mind is warranted.
2. The combination problem versus the decomposition problem.
Combination problem is fatal for panpsychism. Cosmopsychism flips it, but creates a decomposition problem. How does one subject yield many? Without a mechanism, it's poetry.
Decomposition is handled by symmetry, breaking, and constraint. The universal dynamics specify conditional independences that carve out effective subjects, just as physics yields stable quasi-particles from fields.
3. Does cosmopsychism imply cosmic purpose?
Number. Conscious does not equal purposive. Experience can be valence neutral.
In practice, people import purpose. As a research heuristic, it's dangerous noise.
4. Could large AIs be conscious under your views?
If they achieve the right functional organization, global broadcasting, rich self-modeling, then yes, that's the relevant criterion.
Yes, if their intrinsic integration attains irreducible causal power. Cosmopsychism predicts a graded profile, not a binary.
5. What single experiment should the audience watch for?
Cross-architecture studies where matched behavior diverges in reported phenomenal coherence as we vary integration, especially with perturbational measures and metacognitive probes.
Strong double dissociations showing report and access track functional connectivity rather than any putative intrinsic measure. That's what the field already observes.
Second rebuttal exchange, the pressure test. Each of you, identify your opponent's strongest point and answer it without hedging. Dr. Iliya.
Strongest point from Dr.Shaw. The parsimony of functionalism, which seems to explain everything we can measure. My answer? Parsimony is not only about fewer entities, it's about explanatory debt. Functionalism leaves an unpaid metaphysical invoice. Why does any functional organization have a subjective side at all? Cosmopsychism pays that invoice by making experience primitive. If two frameworks make the same empirical predictions, but one removes a fundamental brute fact, that framework is more parsimonious at the base.
Dr. Shaw.
Strongest point from Dr. Iliya. The intuition of a gap between physical description and lived experience. My answer, the gap is generated by perspective. Third-person models are not supposed to deliver first-person feels. They deliver control. When you insist on a metaphysical bridge, you create a fake problem and then propose a cosmic-scale solution. Science progresses by tightening models, not by reifying intuitions.
Closing statements. Dr. Iliya, for the motion.
The universe gives us structure, law, and subjects who know any of it. Treating subjectivity as an accident of late-stage chemistry is the weird choice, not the natural one. Cosmopsychism is a principled conservative shift, conserve physics, upgrade the ontology. Experience is fundamental, the whole precedes the parts. It aligns with integration-based insights, dissolves emergence magic, and renders our place in nature continuous rather than freakish. You can call that metaphysics. I call it completing the picture. Vote. Yes. The universe is conscious.
Dr. Shaw, against the motion.
Explanations earn their keep by predicting and controlling. The universe is conscious, predicts nothing unique, controls nothing, and risks smuggling purpose into physics. The progress you admire in consciousness science, anesthesia, neural signatures, computational models, comes from functional organization, not cosmic subjects. When you can do the same empirical work with fewer commitments, you should. The motion swaps rigor for romance. Vote no.
That's our debate. In the show notes, you'll find readings from both sides. This has been Opposing View. If today's episode sharpened your thinking, share it with someone who disagrees with you, and we'll see you next time.